While carrying the Alpha King's heir, she saw his engagement notice. That night, she disappeared. While carrying the Alpha King's heir, she saw his engagement notice. That night, she disappeared. Real-life story outline, third-person narrative, single-part drama romance, survival betrayal, Mara Ellison. The protagonist, quiet, resilient, carrying the child of the most powerful man in her world, alone. King Davin Ashcroft, Alpha King, cold, dominant, politically driven, unaware his secret lover is pregnant, or so he believes. Lady Cecile Voss Davin's noble fiancée, poised and calculating, the face on the engagement notice that breaks everything. Old Nara, a healer in the borderlands, the only soul who gives Mara shelter the night she runs. Opening, the world before the crack. A secret kept in silk and silence. For 8 months, Mara Ellison lived a life no one around her fully understood. She worked as a scribe inside Ashcroft Palace. A woman of no title, no pack lineage, no political weight. But behind closed doors, she had shared something real with King Davin Ashcroft. Quiet evenings, guarded words, and a closeness that neither of them had named out loud. She told herself it was enough. She told herself that men like him chose women like her for reasons that outlasted politics. She was wrong, and some part of her had always known it. She kept her pregnancy hidden beneath loose robes and careful posture, waiting for the right moment, the moment that never came. Inciting event, the notice on the board. On an ordinary Tuesday, Mara walked past the palace announcement board on her way to the East Wing. She almost didn't stop. A gold-sealed parchment had been pinned there overnight. Formal, official, irrevocable. The royal crest, Davin's name in black ink. And beside it, Lady Cecile Voss, of the Northern Territories, to be wed at the next full moon. Mara stood in the corridor for a long time. Other scribes passed. No one looked at her face. She placed one hand against the cold stone wall and the other against her stomach, and she did not cry. Not then. She walked back to her small room at the far end of the servants' quarter, sat on the edge of her cot, and understood with absolute clarity that the man she had been waiting for had never been waiting for her. Turning point. That night, she packed only what she could carry on her own menout. By the time the palace lanterns dimmed to their midnight low, Mara had made every decision. She did not leave a note. She did not send word to Davin, did not wait to see if he would come to her room and explain. She already knew what an explanation from a king sounded like, and she did not want to hear it spoken over the child growing inside her. She wrapped her documents, a small sum of coins she had saved over years, 2 changes of clothing, and a dried bundle of herbs old Nara had once given her. She left through the laundry passage, the one the guards forgot about after the second bell. The night air hit her like something honest. She walked south until the palace lights were gone from the sky. The road, alone in the borderlands survival, is a different kind of dignity. The borderlands were no place for a woman in her 3rd trimester. The roads were unpaved past the river crossing. Mara walked for 2 days on dried bread and stream water before her legs gave out at the edge of old Nara's property. A healer the palace had once dismissed as a village eccentric. Nara opened her door without a word of surprise, as though she had been expecting exactly this kind of woman to arrive on her step. She asked no questions about the father. She simply put Mara to bed, fed her broth with herbs that tasted of pine and iron, and in the morning said only, "You are going to have a strong one." And that was the first time Mara allowed herself to believe that the child was not a consequence. It was the point. Aftermath. The palace discovers the absence. A king who did not know what he had lost. 3 days after Mara vanished, a junior scribe reported her missing to the head of records. The matter was flagged as an administrative absence. No alarm was raised. Davin Ashcroft was deep in the engagement proceedings. Gifts arriving, formal dinners, meetings with Cecile's family representatives. He heard the name Mara Ellison on a list of staff requiring follow-up and said nothing. He remembered her. Of course he remembered her. He told himself he would look into it after the ceremony. He told himself she had probably found a better position in a merchant city. He told himself a great many things in those weeks, the way powerful men do when they do not want to feel the weight of what they have quietly chosen. The child, growing steadily in the borderlands, felt nothing of any of this. It only grew. Resolution. What she built without him. A life assembled from the pieces she chose. 6 weeks after arriving at Nara's cottage, Mara gave birth to a boy. She named him Kalam, an old word for sky, chosen because it belonged to no kingdom and no man. She stayed with Nara through the first winter, learning which herbs quieted fever, which roots could be traded at the border market for coin. By spring, she had her own small income, a reputation among the village women as someone reliable and discreet, and a son who already watched the world with unsettling calm. She did not think about Davin often, or rather, she had learned to recognize when she was thinking about him, and to let the thought pass like weather. What she thought about was Kalam's hands, his weight, the fact that he was fed. The story she would eventually tell him, not one of bitterness, but one in which his mother had stood at a corridor wall, understood the truth, and walked out into the dark with both hands open. That was the story. That was all of it. Closing note. She was never found, because she never hid. Years later, a traveling merchant who had once worked palace supply routes would pass through the border village and recognize a woman at the market. He would return to the capital and mention it to a clerk over wine. That Mara Ellison was alive, that she had a child, that she looked well. The clerk would forget to file the report, or perhaps he chose to forget. Either way, the information reached no one of consequence. Mara sold dried herbs on a Tuesday morning, walked home with Kalam on her back, and cooked supper. She had disappeared, yes, but only from the world that had not deserved to keep her.